About 6 months ago, I joined a gym because I was wanting variety. I love the altitude training, the high intensity workouts, restorative yoga, and reformer Pilates. And I did stumble across one of Ian's yoga classes. And honestly, it absolutely blew my mind. The way he spoke during class deeply resonated with me. It wasn't just a yoga session, it was a powerful, energetic, and emotional reset. His classes are intense. We hold postures for a long time, but the shift that I felt afterwards was completely undeniable. So I started sharing Ian's YouTube channel with my clients because what he teaches helps move stuck emotions through the body. From a somatic perspective, it helps them break through what's holding them back. So they can actually start to feel safe to receive and hold more, whether it's wealth, success, or emotional expansion. So I wanted to invite Ian on our podcast to share his incredible journey, his background, and his amazing wisdom with you. So welcome, Ian.
Thank you for having me.
So good. I'm super excited. If you don't mind sharing a little bit about your background.
I started yoga literally, I'd say over 36. Yeah, wow. What in my early teens. And I started yoga. It was meditation initially, like a component of yoga, due to the fact that I had a lot of pressure put on top of me, or I felt a lot of pressure put on top of me from school and my parents. I played high level sport, right? So that was there. And then the expectations of everyone around me to do it this way or that way, or how they wanted it done, right, was a lot of pressure for me. So I actually just started meditating just to distance myself from what was happening literally on a daily basis, right? And meditation, sport, and art actually got me through that. And then the yoga grew from there, that I could heal myself because I grew up with a lot of injuries playing sport. And for me to, I'd say, overcome those challenges, I did a lot of old school rehabilitation, right? Like my grandmother would put ginger on my ankles as an anti-inflammatory, right? She would cut up ginger, boil a little bit, just put it on the ankle, she was a little heal. So I started getting into things like that, arnica and so on, to just get my body in the right, I'd say, frame, right? Body set, uh, then led me to perform at a certain level, right? And then school, it helped with school, so I was really calm when I had assessments and exams and tests and things like that. And I wasn't a great public speaker. Like I did not like to talk in front of anybody, right? Maybe it was a confidence thing, but the yoga actually assisted in that because a lot of the breathing is there that assists you in speaking in front of a crowd. And now, I don't know if you do yoga with hot tub, hundreds, maybe 1,000 people spoke in front of, and yeah, it's like nothing.
You do it very well, I
Right.
must add.
So it went from there. Uh, and it was very regimented in my life because I had a family background in old military. So everything was like by the book and routine and on the dot, timing, right? So a lot of commands, very, very, very structured. And now it's like, it is structured to an extent, but I think I'm utilizing my energy from within to navigate what needs to be done because I become more intuitive, right? And I guess more aware of what my energy is like from my mental standpoint, my emotional standpoint, and my physical standpoint, which then just makes what I need to get done just more efficient.
I love that you say that because you mentioned before about society conditioning, and I talk a lot about that with my crew is that, we're so-called expected to do things a certain way, and it's not the case. There's our way. And that's what I love about you because the way that you incorporate yoga, quantum mechanics, consciousness is so unique. I've never come across anyone else doing what you do. Do you mind just sharing a little bit about how that approach came about?
Yeah, I love science when I was in school. So since I guess when I actually wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid. Did with stars and moon and planets and observatory. I used to be there like literally all the time on weekends and school holidays and things like that. So I was really fascinated by that. And then I just getting how that relates to a lot of old yoga scriptures back in the day. For example, say 108, it's synonymous in yoga for 108. And that runs off my hertz, which the mantra Om resonates off of, which also in nature, there's a lot of natural things like bees humming, crickets also resonate at a certain pitch of 108. And with yogic philosophy, that 108 has significance in that the diameter of the earth is 108 times towards the sun, or the distance of the sun. And then even the diameter of the moon is 108 times distance to the earth. So the lot of science, the yoga technically is just science, like quantum mechanics, of how you can manipulate your energy within you and then how it relates to everything around us at the same time. So relating everything that's made up in this existence that we know of.
Oh, that's why I love your classes, because you talk about that in the sessions and while we're holding the poses as much pain as we sometimes are in. It's so unique. It's great.
The postures, yeah, we hold them for a little bit.
We do. In the heat, I might add. It's like being in a sauna doing the postures, which
Yeah, you got the sun on top of you.
yeah, beautiful. So in your view, why do you find business is such a powerful mirror for our internal emotional and energetic states?
From what I have come across experience-wise, really a lot of what we think, how we emote, and then what we feel, depending on if we actually take action or not, may determine the next moment in our life. Right? You can put all these list downs of these. This is my wish list, or I guess a vision board, right? Towards it, but you can have that here. I know that some people do that for their business. That I want to get here. I want to do this. I want to have that. But is that the goal? Right? Or is that a consequence of you being successful in whatever it is that you do internally? And then out of that, you have prosperity, right? And that includes everything. You better your relationships, you better your bank account, right? You better your well being. So for me, I think with the business side of things, it's really taking action, right? You come up with an idea. Everyone has ideas, but unless there's actions taken towards ideas, they mean nothing. Like I mentioned, yoga, that you can have a thought or think of a word, and those words mean zero, right? Unless you actually inject energy into that word or that thought. For example, someone can say, oh, I'm going to go bash that person, but are they going to do it? No, unless they take action. That's just a thought, right? It might change their chemical balance towards that, but then again, it's just a thought. Or if they're like, oh, I want to do some bungee jumping just to get these endorphins racing, again, it's just a thought. But you can also get those same chemicals by just sitting here and meditating.
Do you find that the thoughts, like you mentioned, have energy? And when we take action from a positive stance, that has a greater impact rather than if we're taking action from lack or scarcity?
Yeah, it's really comes back to abundance, because if it's lack, it's saying I don't have or I want, rather than going, I already have the skills in order to get that. It's just now navigating the steps to get to that end result. So I do with me a lot of reverse engineering. It's like, okay, you want to get to here. Now work your way back on the steps to get there. Right. I do that with some youth who are, I guess, disadvantaged and got in trouble a little bit with youth crime. So I also an empowerment program in regards to that. And we reverse engineer their goals, right? Like their goals may change in a year, 2 years, but we go break it down from a short term to long term and mini goals, and then go backwards from there, because it comes back down to you have what it takes to get there, but some people don't have I guess, the direction.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really it. Like, you know, the loftiest ideas, but it's like, okay, well, how can I navigate to get there now? Like GPS, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, recently, like I've seen so many people have been feeling stuck, have been, lost in their direction. Like so many things have changed in the world. It's like it's got
Yeah.
people to reassess everything. It's like, where to from here for me, and, reassessing what's really important for people.
Yeah, it's pivoting. I guess COVID had a massive role in that I was teaching classes, right? Doing on hands, in house, live face to face, and then end up having to do everything online, right? Because no one can get anywhere. It's isolated. But actually, that worked out really well because I was just doing online thing. People being stuck, it's again adjusting and aligning the frequency that is not consumed by negative thoughts and emotion. Really, that's it, right? So if you just adjust your frequency to a certain level that, oh yeah, this feels good. I know it's taking me. We've all had that, right? So the key with that is not getting that sensation, not getting that feeling, not getting that frequency. Everyone can get that at some point, right? Some people deem it as luck, but it's the key. And I guess the most challenging part is, can you sustain it?
Yes. And so when you say adjust frequency, what do you mean?
Well, everything comes back from sound, right? So it goes from vibration, sound, electromagnetic, electricity, and backwards again. So when it comes to frequency, how you think, which is a vibration, right? If you can think of one word that is really positive and just keep thinking about it, that starts to send a signal within the rest of your cellular structure that everything starts to resonate off of that, right? So if it's something negative, same thing, right? You are starting to attract anything that's within that same frequency. So like a magnet, essentially, because everything is energy, right? Everything is consciousness. It's just determining on what works for you, what doesn't work for you. But then it's like a game.
Well, that ties in beautifully to my next question I was going to ask you is that, many business owners do experience income plateaus or that feast and famine cycle. Like they'll have a great month and then they'll drop back down to somewhere that feels safe. So from your perspective, I was going to ask, but you've covered a little bit with regards to the frequency. What is that emotional, energetic patterns that usually sitting underneath that?
In my sense, it becomes efficiency, right? It's in a way that you have this. I surf, so I don't know for people that surf. When you, it's funny because when you surf, you're waiting on something that has been originating 2 to 3,000 kilometers away over days and weeks, right? For a swell to come in or a wave. And you cannot determine the type of wave that comes through, the size of the wave, the speed of the wave, right? So you have to adjust yourself to ride that wave as best you can in that moment. And for people that do surf, maybe snowboarding a little bit more surfing, because that's in many cases not even controllable other than you and your board. And that once you start to become more in tune with your inner, because all it is breathing, right? And in yoga, it's like up dog warrior too when you get up on a board. So there's a lot of relation to yoga, and that it's about maintaining a level of calmness, right? That's the key. If there's panic, if there's stress, then your nervous system changes its frequency. And then you have to now readjust your nervous system, readjust all the other systems in your body to accommodate for what it is that you're doing at that time. Right. So to me, it's how well can you self-regulate your emotions in that moment?
I love that analogy. That would have to be my favorite analogy I've ever heard when it comes to that.
Yeah. Because I think, like, I guess when people buy stocks and things like that, that they become precautionary with a lot of things, and they're, I guess, being in tune with certain things, but they're still guessing,
Mm.
right? So then they become hesitant to purchase something or buy a lot of shares because of what the market's doing, not going on, okay, well, this is the information that I have. I'm confident with that because I'm clear on what needs to be done. I'll just go with it, right? Because in terms of volatility, that's what I see within certain people that come to yoga, that they might be baseline or median at some point, and then the volatility comes with a thought or emotion when they're challenged, and then it just starts to fluctuate. And then
Yeah.
it's trying to get back to that same flow of energy where it's more fluid rather than the peaks and the valleys and then the stutters. With surfing, you need to be somewhat in a calm state, because if you're nervous, your paddling won't be efficient, right? You start to panic, miss the wave possibly, or not catch it at the timing is incorrect. Where in yoga, it's very similar in that you might have someone that is initially calm, and then they start to become challenged, and then the challenges bring up certain memories, right? Or traumas, or PTSD, or something like that, or imagination even. And then that starts to throw them off guard, and then they begin to focus on that as in terms of a reaction now, right? So then it's a compulsive behavior. They start to go back, okay, well, I'm challenged here. I'm relating it to something that happened 10 years ago, last week, 2 years ago, or currently now. So they'll go back to say that same behavioral pattern to feel safe, rather than overcoming the challenge and just maintaining that level of balance. So then it's more of a response now.
Right. And so that level of calmness, that level of balance comes from the breathing.
Correct. Yeah, the breathing will slow down your heart rate. It'll calm your nervous system down. And the key with that too, it's not so much lying down. It's like really maintaining an upright position. Because if your head is kinked forward or down, right, the nervous system is really smart in that if it's bent in a certain way from any point, it's not as strong.
Okay.
Yeah. We can do a test at yoga one day and I'll explain it to you. So when we sit in yoga, we always say sit upright.
Yes.
Chin partly lifted. Because with the nervous system and your spinal cord and column, on a physical note, but also on an energetic note, we have nadis or chakras, which is the more concentrated. They need to be aligned as well. It's for efficiency of energy, but then again, it's strength at ease, or we call it sthira sukha.
So just that simple understanding that, okay, I'm feeling like I'm going to freak out a little bit here. Just coming back to that breath is just such a powerful thing that someone can do just to maintain that level of calmness.
Right. That's the most rudimental way to meditate as well. Is just follow your breathing. Even if you have to think of the word inhale as you inhale and think of the word exhale, that's a great tool or resource to assist you in bringing you back to balance or coherence.
Extremely powerful. Like that tip right there will blow someone's mind. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So we've all had those times when we feel stuck. And what do you find that feeling stuck usually signals at a deeper level?
Again, I think it has to do with lack. That am I doing this right, or should I change it up, right? So then it's like it comes back to confidence again, right? So if the results aren't there initially, people question their own ability, right? Or blame the external of why this is not happening. But it comes back down to frequency again, because if when it comes to business, if someone wants to purchase something or buy something, right, they see the value in that. But really what they're doing is aligning their product or service to the emotion that someone else can relate to. So for me, I sell happiness and joy, right? A little frustration sometimes, depending on how long you're sitting in the posture.
So I was just going to say that.
Yeah, it is. Right. But then that's what challenges you, because if
Yeah.
you get frustrated, it's like, well, get through it, right? We don't go over something, we don't go under something, we go around things, we go through things. We go
Through it. Yeah.
like,
Mm,
right. Especially for me in the past couple of weeks of, I know I mentioned to you what was going on with me.
yeah.
Yeah, I still taught classes. I still did the yoga, right? And none would be the wiser with what was going on. So
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you did mention that in class, and none of us did know. Like you showed up at those classes in full energy, like just gave that to us over that duration. It was, yeah, very inspiring.
yeah, because it comes back down again. It comes back into frequency, right? So for me, it was a healing process. Excuse me, and I tapped into that frequency like I do in all classes, right? That I'm giving you 1,000%, because in some way it may spark your curiosity, which has happened right now, in order to empower your life in some way. And now you're doing that for others by putting the podcast in.
Yeah, like I remember the first session, and like I said, I've never been to a yoga class. I walked away going, "Oh my goodness, what the hell just happened?" And having the knowledge about frequency and energy is like, this dude has so much to offer and so much to share with people. Your frequency was just undeniable, and that's what I loved about it. And continue to show up every week.
Yeah, and it's funny people say they need to have me in person because they do like online stuff with me. It's good. They say it's really great. But for those of you, for those of the people that have come to the classes in person live, they're just saying it's just, not to one horn, but it's like next level, because
Well, it is. Yeah.
energy that they feel. Or
Yes.
send. Yeah.
I do agree with that. Yes, 100%.
So I just got to host yoga events around the world and really.
Well, that you do. Yeah. Well, and that's why, they're always booked out. Like as soon as the notification comes up, it's open, like book, because you won't get a seat. That's how good it is. So then when it comes to frequency, what's your take on like the final financial expansion is emotional expansion?
With frequency, I think it again, people would deem it as luck, right? It's like riding that wave and maintaining that wave. When it comes to financial expansion, it's like if you're going to be true to what it is that you're selling, right, or promoting or sharing, and it's in your experience as well, then it's just way easier to promote that and to sell it and to share it, right? So the expansion is, again, coming back down to, well, if I maintain a level of frequency that is attractive, outgoing, joyful, conscious, right, and prosperous, then the person that I'm trying to sell to will also see that or feel that or sense it. And that will encourage that person to buy the product or even go take it further from there.
Yeah, it's
It
definitely
really is energy, just exchanging that bond,
yeah.
right? That really, that quantum entanglement is what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Because you see a post on social media, you can feel it. Like you don't even need to read any words. It's a feeling that you get. You just know.
Exactly. Like when like they start tearing up with certain things that they see on like a
Mhm.
show or an ad or a movie, things like that, right? So they're connecting to that emotion of what is being given to them.
Yes.
Right. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, for sure. So in yoga, there's the concept of moving stuck energy through the body. How does unprocessed emotion physically impact someone's ability to grow their business?
It becomes debilitating in many ways, in that if you're stuck in certain aspects of your life, then that will translate to the frequency in your mind that is causing that. And then that will start to shift into other parts of your physical body. And then from there, you'll be less mobile, less active. So then your health will start to deteriorate. Right. So it's a good thing to always have, I guess, if you were to say like a routine, it doesn't have to be exact same time every day, the exact same length, duration, but as long as you're incorporating a type of wellness in every single day of your existence, of your life.
Which I'm a huge advocate for. That
Yeah.
self-care of looking
I
after
hope that
yourself
answers your
first.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Yeah. Because what would be some of the signs that someone's body or energy system is holding on to emotional blockages, and how might that show up in their business as well?
I'd say it'd be like a victimization,
Yeah.
right? That the whole world's against them per se, right? And nothing is going their way, in terms of they're thinking that everything is blocking their progress, right? Or their advancement. But then it's like when shit goes wrong or goes down, you don't look around you, you look within you, right? Because then that's the frequency. You're emitting a frequency that's causing that to be attracted to you.
Yes. It's a mirror, isn't it?
Yes, like this whole podcast is about, yeah, the mirror.
I noticed in class, and especially for me as well, like there's some certain poses that I find very easy. There's some poses that I find very challenging. And the ones that I find easy, I see some other people really struggle with that. So, do you mind just speaking a little bit about, the certain areas that you find, like I know hips, you mentioned a lot, people have lots of blockages in. Do you mind just speaking a little bit about the common ones that you see in your sessions?
Yeah, I think, okay, we'll go to hips. Hips relate to the subconscious mind in yoga, and the fact that it's a chakra called Svahistana, and it represents the subconscious mind. So all your thoughts, all your memories, all your impressions, which technically is your life, right? That's all it is. It's just an accumulation of data, and then you've stored them as memory, impressions, right? Fantasies, dreams, right? Things like that. And they get stuck in that hip complex area, because in that area, it's about safety, security, foundation, right? Your wants and desires. So other than the reproductive system, that's incorporates that as well. So it's really like moving forward. So when people get stuck, this area is very rigid and tight,
Mhm.
right? Because they're storing that energy based on what they were thinking about or feeling or emoting, and not processing it to release. So then it's now like physical baggage, right?
Back in their hips.
Back in the hips.
Mm.
Another one would be the chest, heart space. If there was some traumatic experience, or even a possibly a confidence thing. Here, this is about expression of self. If there's a little bit of doubt within that, it's very hard to open up the chest space, like even to just open up your arms and lift your chin, right? You'll get people that will start to cough or have trouble actually just breathing, right? They like lose their breath.
So powerful.
Yeah.
I've learned so much in just such a short period of time. It's
Yeah.
been
Well, it
incredible.
tells a lot. Like it's basically like a conduit for what's going on mentally and emotionally. And then it's how well you filter that out or detoxify from it, if you would think of it like that. Right. So we detoxify physically or chemically with taking vitamins and tonics and all that stuff. But then there's also an energetic detox that we need to do.
Yes. So there's obviously a connection then between rigidity in the body and in results as well. So how can that physical flexibility translate to financial flow? What can people do to start to allow that flow to come back into their lives if they do find that they're a bit tight in their chest, their hips, different areas of the body?
It comes back down to the fear of suffering, right? Like if someone is financially struggling, they're thinking, I'm going to suffer in some way, right? It's not so much of what's going to happen, like, but it's the fear of it, right? It's the fear that it's not the actual consequence, but it's the fear of the suffering that's causing the tightness and the tension and the stress and the debilitation and the rigidity. Yeah, the fear of, like, a lot of people are afraid of whatever this. I'm afraid to do this because of that, right? But it's, again, it's not that will happen. If it happens, it happens. But it's the fear of doing it to get to that point is what they're really afraid of, is that fear. Feel afraid, right?
Yeah. And then if we take it to another level, if it's on the energetic frequency of fear, then we end up attracting that into our world. If that's something that we're focusing on, if that's where our energetic alignment happens to be.
Yeah, you're stopping yourself short. So if you were like, you and your man, you jump off like a cliff to jump in the lake or the ocean, right? There's a fear, there's initial fear, like, oh, what if there's a rock underneath there? What if I drown or this, right? So all these scenarios come in your head before it actually happens, and you're just standing there. So it's that suffering has been created by fear rather than that actually happening and then creating the suffering of you actually getting hurt. I think that's where people need to address that, and the meditation will get them through that, right? Because again, this is your tool. It's not something that rules you, right? It's your resource, not the resource is you from your mind.
So then what daily practices would you recommend for business owners to clear those emotional blocks and stay energetically open?
I would say do two things, maybe three, uh, because in the morning when it's quiet time, when no one's awake, when the first thing that you get up is not your phone, it's actually just have a seat and just close your eyes, sit upright, and then just start breathing, right? And if you want to say sankalpa, which is an intention for the day, you can. I don't know, for me, it's just I just do a little bit of movement. I'll sit and meditate for a little bit, and then I'll just do some movement, like the namaskar, like just a brief sun salutation that we do, just to get the body, I guess, aligned, right? So we do it 3 times so that it adjusts to moon energy, sun energy, and earth energy. So no matter what time of the day you're in, your body will adjust to these fluctuations of energy, really, right? And these shifts. Midday would be amazing when it's like the energy is really rajasic, or sun energy, like hyper, when it's really busy. Is when it's busy, just sit 5-10 minutes and just do the same meditation. Just breathe, right? Listen to guided meditation. We'll have heaps of that online. And just breathe through there so that you could regulate again when things are a little bit crazy. You can have all these things coming at you, but as long as your inner is calm, it doesn't matter what's happening outside, right? Because you can control this. You can manage here. And then at night, it's like basically a detox, right? I like to sit alone late at night, to just, I guess it's almost like you're defragmenting. If you're for computers, you're just like defragmenting what you've accumulated for the entire day, right? Because that can play a lot of whether people have enough rest in their sleep. So it's not so much sleep that people need, but it's the rest within that sleep.
Yes.
Right? You can have 10 hours, but if your rest was like nothing, then it could be 20 hours. You still feel the same. So yeah, at night, lying on the back after sitting up, lie on the back with their legs up against the wall. Highly detoxifying. Yeah, and it'll bring balance to the body as well.
I find that meditation and that space during the day is so powerful, not just for me, but for my clients as well. Like they tell me that when they just take that moment of time just to connect back in with themselves,
Yeah.
that's when they get the intuitive downloads as to what's next instead of this forcing and I need to follow this person and this person's doing this thing. I need to do that. It's like coming back to themselves, like, what do you actually want? What feels right for you? And coming from that space. And that's the fastest way that I find my clients are getting such great results so damn fast, is because they're connecting back in with themselves, not something external, which you've mentioned a few times.
Correct. So it is that intuition, right? So as you become
Yeah.
meditating and becoming more intuitive with your inner body, that's for me where my ideas come from.
Me too. Yeah.
And the aha moment. So then you're like, okay, you park it for a little bit. And you're like, okay, cool. I'm still meditating. You go back, okay, here's the way to do it now. Because if the mind's calm and rested, there's more clarity, right? The decision-making skills within that become very acute and sharp. So that's what you want. And then you can go about your day going, okay, bro, this is what happened during meditation. I'm in, right? But it's not about trying to clear the mind. You're trying to just distance yourself from all the other noise so that those things that are going to enhance your life will come in.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're trying to push to come in, but if you're blocking it with this and that, these thoughts, that thoughts, it's just going to be parked out into the side there, waiting for it to come in. Like
Yeah.
you have to just come in on its own reconnaissance. It'll come, and then you're on your way.
That I find has been one of the most profound things that I've done in my business, to make time for that. And it's
it does.
a game change. Yeah.
Right? Like when you force things, like nothing really happens well. Like the end result is never a good thing when you try to force things.
No. Or control.
Yeah. Anything, it ends breaking, right?
Yeah. That's
Force
it.
something and something else or push things. Yeah. You just wait when it's ready, because if your frequency is not aligned at a certain point, that other instance at a different frequency is not going to come in. Once it comes in, then you're aligned together and then it'll just happen. So then it becomes effortless.
And then you're magnetic, which is what
Yeah.
we love. And it just comes to you even better.
Yeah. That's it. You're not chasing, you're just attracting.
Yeah. And something that, just to go back what you said before, is that, something I've noticed just in general with society is that everyone's just scrolling on their phones. Like you go out to dinner now or breakfast and everyone's sitting on their phones. It's like they have to fill the void of this space.
Yeah. It's funny because I think I was in Japan maybe 2000 and the first time I saw that was like 2004. I was in Tokyo, and what people are doing now here in Australia, the Japanese were doing then in 2004. Like you had grandmothers on their mobile phones, just and then like in the trains, just watching something, and everybody would be on their devices watching it. It happened back then,
Yeah.
but at the same time, when it was time to do something that was connected to nature, they did something that was connected to nature. So they had a good. I find that they had a good balance, even though they were so technologically advanced at that time. Right. That's when I first started seeing people connected to their devices nonstop.
Yeah.
Was in Japan 2004, I reckon. So it's a while back. That's over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But from now, people here, it's almost like they're trying to fill a void of something that they deem as lacking through someone else.
So if there's someone brand new to yoga practices and feeling called to deepen their alignment, where would you suggest they start?
In their bedroom, in their lounge room, somewhere, right? If it's in-house, do that initially. And if they wanted to go onto YouTube, and for a lot of beginners, I know that they tend to do that first rather than go to a class, unless it's something social that they want to attend. And if you want to do, go to like a restorative class, like a beginner's yoga, to get, I guess, accustomed and familiar with the yoga. I would go to really just meditation classes at the beginning. Right, because that's technically yoga, right? Meditation is just a component of yoga. So go from there. Not the physical part. Well, it is physical in that you have to sit upright for X amount of hours. I used to sit on my heels, right? And it was like a game to see how long when I was younger I can sit. Initially, it was like 30 seconds, and it would just be torture. Well, then,
Which is sometimes what I find with yours.
meditate for about a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20, 30, right? So it was a challenge within myself to overcome what's going on in my mind. And then eventually it was like, I was so deep into meditation that it became like an hour and a half at least.
Yeah.
Maybe that I was just sitting on my heels. When I got out of it, I couldn't even feel my knees or my ankles or my toes. But it was not necessarily, it didn't disappear. It was, I know it is noticeable, but it didn't overcome what my goal was to meditate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll be sharing your YouTube channel as well, because that's what I recommend my clients who are all around the world to go, and obviously they can't come to our local classes, but yeah, definitely your YouTube channel, which we'll share, because that.
Yeah, there's a beginner series that's posted on there. It's 33 days of stretch. So they can do this for every day. There's beginners postures that are explained. They're only like 8 minutes, 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. So good video, and it's for beginners and getting you to understand the posture, the meaning of the posture, and then how to breathe within the posture. So there's a series for beginners as well, and then for those of the yogis or people that want to work on their flexibility, there's also flexibility series on YouTube, right? That there's a couple on there. They're professional athletes, and they're generally really tight, right? Very muscly and tight. So they wanted to do restorative class just to get more flexible and work on, again, detoxifying from their mind, their daily grind. Yeah, so they can do that. It's Ian Cariaga would be the YouTube channel.
And I'll pop that in the notes, because that's a whole game changer. My clients absolutely love the channel. So
yeah, that'd be cool. If anyone wants to just put a comment on what they'd like to see, right? I always mention it, but for some reason people don't. I don't know what it is, but who knows?
So how do you personally integrate the wisdom of yoga into areas like business, wealth, leadership, purpose?
For me, I think it becomes natural because a lot of the things that happen to me in my life when it comes to business, I just say it's yoga because it's come from yoga. Like the relationships and the connections have literally come from yoga. That aren't even yoga related, right? It just comes up. Because it comes back down to energy. So beyond the physical or the vehicle, which is the yoga, right? It comes back down to energy when you break it down, right? Or frequency, sound.
All comes back to energy and frequency.
It does. It does. Everything comes back down to that. And I guess the yogis way back thousands of years ago caught on to that and understood it, and then just took it to a humanistic approach because we have a physical body, and that stuff out there per se is physical, but really it's non-physical. It's not, you can't necessarily see with your eyes, but it's there.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, just incorporate into something you can do now daily with others.
Which is great. And you do that so well.
Thanks.
We all go through challenges in life. Do you mind just sharing a moment in your own journey where clearing an emotional block created a really big external breakthrough for you? Because no one's immune to challenges. Like we all.
Yeah, you would get challenged, and I think that's where the real growth comes from, is that you were challenged. If you weren't challenged, it'd be like very lackadaisical. Things happen when they happen. I'll just promote that growth.
Yeah.
In that it teaches you to maybe learn a new skill or divert to a different tactic or strategy. But then also, again, it comes back down to how well can you regulate when these challenges come up. So for me, I guess just as of recent, the job that I have, I do, because I got 2 full-time jobs. I've gone down to another job with less involvement, right? And it's a little bit by choice, but a little bit not by choice. And for me, it's a big challenge though, because I'm going back to the yoga space like full time, right? So I'm going, okay, well, let's roll with it. I did before, I had a studio. Things have changed since then. I would not necessarily get another studio again. So how can I do this space online and then even consult, which I've been doing a lot of, relating to energy and bringing it onto like the AI space. So that is coming up for a few things. And yeah, no one's immune to challenges. So I just power through it. And I think as I was younger, it was always, I only wanted to be, in a way, second best. Right? Because I was touted to play golf at a really young age, and I didn't like golf. I did, but it was just for fun, right?
Yeah.
So if I was second and not the best, then it wouldn't take me far in that type of sport. Right? Whereas in other sports, I didn't think that way. So it was kind of like in two minds, that in like, say, basketball or baseball, won championships in every team that I played with, things like that. And it was easy, right? But then with one sport, it was like, I don't want to be the best because I'm, I guess, fearful of where it could take me, because then it's really not for me. It wasn't necessarily my choice to go further in that sport, if you get what I'm saying.
I do 100% get what you're saying.
So I guess in a way, fear of success was a challenge.
Yeah.
Not part of my life. Whereas another part it wasn't, right? When it came to art and things like that, I was just like, yeah, just be the best I can be and no fear about anything in regards to that side, right? But then in one portion, I was like, no, I don't want to be the best. I just want to sit back in the corner.
Yeah. And because you didn't want to do it, then there was like a sabotage going on.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
So knowing, and then I think as I got older, I knew that that wasn't something that was going to happen. So I was like, okay, I came to terms with it. I actually forgave myself for it. I forgave someone else, it was technically my dad, for putting me through coaching and all this stuff. Like in here, I forgave him, right? Because
Yes.
he's the best for me or whatever it was. Um, and yeah, I moved on from it.
Well, you do, don't you? Like, some of my clients have had some major challenges the last couple of weeks, and it's like holding the frequency, hold the energy, keep the nervous system calm, like as you go through this, because that up and down is what's going to send you up and down and your business up and down. Like you mentioned before, it's perfectly aligned, is that you've got to hold that frequency and be okay with the
Also
challenge.
regulation. Yeah.
Yeah. So it all just ties in perfectly. So, if you could leave our listeners with just one piece of wisdom about unlocking greater abundance through inner alignment, what would that be?
I would say do yoga every single day, right?
Yes.
Get more in tune with their energy rather than your thoughts and emotions, right? And really just I'd say be grateful for what you have. So first thing in the morning is that, okay, you check in, I'm alive, right? Best thing that could happen to you that day. Regardless of anything else happens to you on top of that, you woke up alive for you to experience something else, right? And then it's just navigating, okay, well, is it going to enhance my life or is it going to be a detriment to my life? Right? You can make that decision. We can all make decisions. So, uh, and then doing the yoga again is going to give you more clarity on what needs to be done and what action needs to take place for you to be more prosperous, abundance, and successful if you want to go in that direction. Right? Yeah.
I agree 100% with that for sure. At the end, we'll do a rapid fire fun session. So, a hack that has changed your life.
I just have fun when I'm doing yoga.
Yeah,
Right?
you can
No
tell.
pressure. I think that's what it is. It's like don't put pressure on yourself,
Yeah.
whatever you're doing, because that pressure is created within yourself. If you can build momentum, right? I think people get mistaken with momentum and pressure. Right. Really
Yes.
momentum and you're pushing through whatever it is. It's just like an irreparable force, like a juggernaut. You just keep going, right? Whether it's slow or fast, it doesn't matter. So I think the hack is just relax in whatever you're doing, like calmness, right?
Mm.
That's what it is regulate your breathing, regulate your emotions, and stay calm.
And a daily non negotiable ritual for you?
Me is yoga again.
You let him breathe in.
For some people, I know, depending on where they're in the world, they're not able to do that. I try to get to the ocean every day or close to it, not necessarily go into the ocean, but get there because the energy of the negative ions assist in healing, a
Yes.
great healing property, right? And in meditating at the beach is even better, right? First thing in the morning when really, even it's cold, just get up early in the morning and just head out there when it's quiet, right? A little bit of solitude, and then connecting with nature. Because for those of you that done yoga with me, that's in class, you're confined within these four walls. It's great, but if you've done yoga outside with me, it's just next level. It's a different sensation. It's a
Yeah.
different experience.
Different frequency.
Yeah, yeah, you're connecting to nature.
Oh, sign me up.
Yeah, yeah, do that. I was
Yeah.
doing it like wow. We can go do that again.
You were doing it where?
Oh, we would do Hoda
Oh, okay.
for the
I
art
thought you
center.
said Bali. I was going to say, sign me up for that.
No, not Bali. Maybe there's something in the cards for Philippines. That's something there that was in the works for a while. And yeah, just locally on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much. You ooze authenticity. Like your answers just just show that. Like you live and breathe yoga and it's
Yeah, they do.
if someone looks at your Instagram, they would just be blown away by what you can do also physically. Like some of your posts is like, oh my goodness, incredible. So how can people find, follow, connect with you?
They can go onto Instagram. It's under Ian Cariaga. You'll have that posted. My YouTube, which is Ian Cariaga as well. And if I have a subscription based platform on Patreon, so it's patreon.com/om 108.
Beautiful. And I highly recommend that you check all of those out. Follow him because his knowledge, his energy is next level. That's why he's on here. And I have not met someone who wouldn't benefit from his YouTube, from his Patron. It's all absolutely perfect. So definitely jump on that for sure. I thank you so much for your wisdom,
Thank
your
you.
knowledge, for
So much.
sharing your insights. It's absolutely incredible. And just by implementing what we've shared would completely change someone's life. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That was fun.